Well, hello, guys, and welcome to Conversations with Dr. Els. Wherever you are, we are looking forward to have a beautiful time together on this conversation. And you can check me out right there on Facebook Live, or you can check me out on Dr. L's TV on YouTube. All right, so you can check out my YouTube channel, Dr. L's TV, or right here on Facebook Live. And you can share this broadcast. Remember, this is a conversation, so we look forward for your input. We look forward for your comments. We look forward for your insight into our conversation. I must apologize for the last 2 weeks. Had some challenges and we were out, but we are back here this evening for those of you wherever you are that look at Conversations with Dr. Els, whether you are in Africa, in the Caribbean, in North America, in South America, Central America, wherever, Europe, wherever you are. I want to welcome you to Conversations with Dr. Els. And in this conversation, I want to just take some time to say hi to you guys. And so I'm looking forward for you to join me on this conversation. I'm looking forward for conversations with Dr. Els coming up in the next couple of weeks. I have already been lining up some guests to just share with us and to hear your input. So, hey, tell somebody Conversations with Dr. Els is on, and we are looking forward for you to share with us on this conversation with Dr. Els. And so this evening, I want to kind of just take this time to shout you out. I want to take this time to even offer condolences to my friends and my family. Want you to, just say hi to you guys in this conversation. Of the late, I have had some friends and really close acquaintances who have gone on to be with the Lord, and I want to just say hi to their families and let them know that I am praying with and for them. As a matter of fact, one of these days, in our conversation, I want to talk to some of my friends, especially the males who have had to deal with their loved ones, their spouse being sick, and some eventually pass away. We're going to talk about how do we deal with situations like that. I want to take this time to say hello to Commander Brenton Kane, my ex-Coast Guard pal and buddy, superior. Great to see you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Monique Sandiford, the great, the lovely, great to have you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. You are just such a gem in the kingdom of God. I salute you. I salute you. And welcome to Conversations with Dr. Els. Guys, I want to encourage you to share the broadcast. I want to encourage you to let someone know that Conversations with Dr. Els is on. My friend Anthony Eiffel, great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els this evening. This evening, we're going to talk about how do you know your relationship is healthy. All right, we're going to talk about how do you know that your relationship is healthy. But in the meantime, I want you to just share the broadcast with someone. It's great to have my friend and pastor Gibson Ishmael. Gibson, I am reaching out to you. We've done some stuff together, and I'm looking forward for us to do some things together. So listen out for a message from me, and we want to talk about continuing to work some things together. It's really great to see you. Hope you and and your wife Desmond is doing well. And my boy, he's a man after my own heart with all those mangoes, man. I can see he's just enjoying life. That's a true son of God, enjoying mangoes. But great having you guys locked on to Conversations with Dr. L. So the question is, how do you know that your relationship is healthy? How do you know that you are having a healthy relationship? And I know many of you are really, really experiencing this. And I just call her name, Deswin. Great to have you locked on the Conversation with Dr. Els. Yeah, and the Sunday changes. For those of you guys, I've been doing Conversations with Dr. Els on Tuesdays, and just had to shift to Sunday because of some reasons that really did not enable me to do Tuesdays again. But I'm glad. I'm glad to see you guys. I'm glad to see you guys. Hello. Great to know that you're doing well. And again, as I said, I'm happy to see Samuel and in all his glory with all those mangoes. So remember, share the broadcast and help me just share around. So we want to talk, and I see there's a husband and wife here, and we want to talk about how your relationship, how do you know that you have a healthy relationship? All right. What are some of the things that you would say is needed to have a healthy relationship? Okay. I want you, remember, you can comment, you can share your thoughts. This is a conversation. A conversation is not a one way. So we often hear from you, and so you can jump right in and begin to share. I salute Bishop Cameron Nichols. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. And my dear friend and sister, Andrea Dial. It's also great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. On Conversations with Dr. Els, we talk about whatever is bothering you, whatever interests you. We talk a lot about relationships, and so we want you to just jump in and be a part of what we're doing here. So how do I know if I am and whether I'm in a marriage relationship, whether I am engaged or I have a significant other, and we've been dating, we've been married, we've been engaged for a certain amount of time. The question is, how do you know that the relationship is a healthy relationship? And if the relationship is not a healthy relationship, how do you break that relationship? How do you break it, or how do you work on making the relationship a healthy relationship? Because it's important that we understand that all relationships would go through the challenging times. In our last conversations, we've been talking about the F word in marriage or in relationship. The F word in relationships, we talked about that, and we said that the F word is very important in assisting your relationship to grow. All right. Very important. We said that in every relationship, the problem is not so much the F word. The problem is how you deal with the F word. All right. So we talk about that because we said it's important for the relationship to grow. And so this evening we are talking about what are some of the things that, you must have or notice to realize that you have a healthy relationship. I pause as usual and I say hi to Alec Adams, my brother. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Venus Williams, great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. And this conversation, and we will continue because we generally run out of time. But one of the things that we got to understand, if we are going to look at a healthy relationship needs mutual respect. All right. If you're having a healthy relationship, you got to understand that there must be mutual respect in the relationship. And so we talk about both parties valuing each other's opinion, valuing each other's boundaries. You can't be in a relationship and you don't respect the person. And so the question is, what are some of the things that you think is needed in a healthy relationship? And I hope that the married couple could just jump in here and share what do they think is needed to make a healthy relationship, and what are some of the things in their relationship that they would say make their relationship healthy, because I know that they've been doing pretty well in their relationship. But we are saying one of the things that is needed is mutual respect. And how do I respect my spouse? How do I respect the other party in the relationship? All right. How do I show respect? We oftentimes see in relationships where a man may talk down to the woman, or the woman may we say use it on ball out at the man and such like that. And we ask ourselves, is this a healthy relationship? Where is the mutual respect in the relationship? So when we're talking about mutual respect, we are saying that both parties must respect each other in the relationship. The way you talk to him or her, the way you discuss things, the things that you do, all show mutual respect, or all should show that you respect that person. Let me just pause and say hi to Maria Benjamin. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Gwen Sandy, great having you also locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Remember, guys, you can share this conversation. Let others know that they can join in the conversation. And remember, you can also see us on YouTube at Dr. Els TV. You can see us there. So we're talking about mutual respect, both parties valuing each other. You see, the problem in relationship, why you have a lot of people just going apart, where you have people not respecting each other, is the fact that they are devaluing each other. They are devaluing each other, and it's very important that we understand that we must place value on our partner. We must place value on our significant other, and therefore, if we must have a healthy relationship, there must be one mutual respect for the relationship. Secondly, the second thing that I want to throw out there, and again, you guys can also, just share your thoughts on this, is that there must be open communication. All right? If you are going to have a relationship of a healthy relationship, you must be able to have open communication. You must be able to openly discuss your thoughts. You must be able to openly discuss your feelings. And oftentimes I say to people, whether my children or persons that I talk to, I say, your feelings are your feelings, right? You may feel a certain way, and your feeling may not be correct. Your feeling may not turn out to be true, but it is your feeling. And I encourage, I take my last daughter to school, and when I pick her from school, I would ask, how was the day and such like that. And sometimes she would not want to say certain things. And I said to her, remember, just share the way you feel. It may not be right. It may not be that your feeling is really the truth. But if that's the way you feel, then share it, and then we can discuss it. Don't be afraid to share your feelings. Let me just pause and say hi to Kathleen Thomas, Eunice White. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. My brother Frost Omega, great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. And guys, you know that I just use your Facebook name, your profile name, even though for some of you, I know your real name and you may not have your real name, but I just call the name that you have up. And of course, I want to say a special hello to the beautiful, the wonderful, the one that makes me shine, Dale, Jan, Lane, Neil. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. All right, so we're saying, somebody's saying, openly discuss without fear that the other person will dismiss you and your feelings. I think that that's important for us to understand, that in terms of open communication, you should be able to openly discuss your feeling. Again, it is not a matter if your feeling is right or wrong. Your feeling is your feeling. And when you discuss your feeling, then your party would be able to work through and say, you know what, you're wrong there, or that's not what I intended, or that's not how it goes. But that does not mean that your feeling is not your feeling. And we have to understand also that if when you share your feeling, the person says, no, this is not what I intended, or this is not what it is, so you are sort of wrong there. That really, I found that we have some people, when that happens, they go into their shell and they are afraid to share their feelings next time. But that should not be a reason for you not to share your feelings, because sometimes you feel something, you think something, but it is not right. But the next time that you feel something, it could be right. So don't say, well, you know what, I share my feelings and he or she did not accept my feelings or anything like that, so I'm not going to share my feelings anymore. No, that's not the way to do it. The way is, I share my feeling, the party should listen and understand this is your feeling, but the other party still has a right to say, hey, your feeling isn't right. That's not the way it is, or that's not the way I intended for it to be. All right. So we're talking about some of the things that builds a healthy relationship. And we said mutual respect is important. Secondly, we're saying that open communication is important. And we're saying in open communication, you should be able to openly discuss your thoughts. What are you thinking? All right. What are your feelings? How do you feel about a situation? You should be able to discuss your concerns and do it as we see here, without fear, right? Discuss without fear of judgment. Discuss without fear of the other person putting you down, without fear of the other person will dismiss your feelings. So you got to understand that feelings, we are emotional being, and we would have feelings. All right. but we have to be prepared and be ready to discuss our feelings, to communicate to our partner, to our spouse or significant other, how we feel. I want to just pause and just say hi to Bishop Lyndon Mutley. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els, my brother. All right, so we're talking about how do we know that your relationship is healthy. All right, and we see here the comfort in knowing you can be your true self, humorous, honest, without offending, and willing to disagree within reason. All right. So you see, very much important, and I like that. You are able to have the comfort knowing that you could be your true self. In a relationship, you should be able to take off the mask. You should be able to let down your hair. You should be able to be you and don't have to worry about somebody making you out to be someone that you are not. There are some people who think that they have to put on all of that. By the time you get into the relationship, you should be able to be yourself, all right? And you should be able to disagree with one another without reason, within reason, as it is said there. Um, there's a question. Is it that the person is wrong for how they feel, or the partner didn't bring over their point in the best way? That's a good question. The persons, I believe that persons are never wrong for how they feel. So the thing is, the feeling is never wrong, right? So if I feel, for example, if I feel that my wife did not like me because she did something, right? And I feel she did that. Okay, so a thought just came to mind. I won't share it, but if she did something or didn't do something, let's use that. I feel, well, she doesn't like me or something like that. This is my feeling. You can't tell me my feeling is wrong. So the person is not wrong for feeling the way, but I might be able to say, hey, or my wife might be able to say, hey, no, I didn't, that's not why I didn't do what you think I should have done, or that's not what I did, what you think what I did, right? So it is not that their feeling is wrong, but the situation may be wrong. And so when you discuss that, you can find, okay, well, I was wrong, but still the feeling is there. That's your feeling, all right? Um, and so someone is saying that people have a fear of rejection, and that is another topic by itself. So because if persons have a fear of rejection, it would have come from somewhere before, and so they've been rejected before, and they've grown and come to the place where rejection is a problem for them, and so they don't want to share their feeling because of that. Let me just say hi to Monica Gabriel. Great having you locked on. Apostle Rick Singh. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Amalia Dubingi. Great having you locked on. Prophetess Marshall Davis, Morrison Noel, Buzz Renal. Guys, it's great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. It's really a pleasure to have you guys on with me this evening. And just to note, I am here, God's willing, every Sunday evening at 6:30, and you can share the conversation. Understand, this is a conversation, so you have the opportunity to just share your opinions. We would read your opinions, share your insights. I know many of you are very versed and intelligent and experienced in these things. So you have a right to share. This is not just a conversation where I share, but it's a conversation where you can share with our audience. You can share with us. And we are talking about a healthy relationship. We're talking about how to build and how do you know that your relationship is healthy. I want to also say hi to Maria Julian. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. And so, people have, right. So just read this. Yes, true. Sometimes people have experienced having their feelings and thoughts dismissed, and that is so true. Going through counseling others. If you're being constantly put down, if you're constantly, your feelings are constantly being rejected, and like someone said earlier, you can say, within reason, that you can disagree within reason, right? You're able to explain, because remember we talked about mutual respect. And so if you're able to share with the person, if you're able to disagree and work through it, this, so that they can understand, hey, this is your feeling. And the way I believe it should be done is, first of all, validate the person's feeling. Let them know, hey, I understand this is your feelings. I understand that, and you have a right to feel how you feel. But this is the situation, or what is what I intended, or this is how it goes, and you're able to discuss that together. All right. Great having you locked on, our mentor Branca. Great seeing you on Conversations with Dr. Els. All right. So guys, we are talking about having a healthy relationship. How do I know what? And this is not just for a marriage relationship, but you have parents and children, brother, sister, family relationship. But we're talking about even as a spouse, and you have a significant other, or you're engaged in that relationship. It's important for you to really have a healthy relationship. And how do you know that your relationship is healthy? One of the things we said is there must be mutual respect. If there is mutual respect in your relationship, then you could it's almost like you could tick it off and say, well, hey, this is one of the things that I have in my relationship that is building my relationship to a healthy relationship. The second thing we said is that there must be open communication, and you should be able to share your thoughts, you should be able to share your feelings, you should be able to share your concerns. You should be able to share with your partner, especially if you're married. You should be able to share with them how you feel, what you like, what you don't like. Even in the whole aspect of intimacy, that's one of the things that Christian couples shy away from. You're afraid to say how you like this, or what you don't like, or what you should do to make me feel better, and such like that. Open communication in that, open communication in everything. And so we must understand that it is very important that we do that. Amazingly, my half an hour is gone, but I want to pick up this next week, and I want you to tell someone. Conversations with Dr. Els is on every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. and we want you to invite someone, share the broadcast, and even after this, you could share it. Also, know that you can view it on Dr. Els TV on YouTube, so you can really just be with me each Sunday evening. It's great to have you guys. All right, before I go, let me just read this comment. Old school parents didn't know anything about healthy communication. So their children grew up repeating the same patterns and have challenges in their relationship and don't understand why. And that is I do agree with that again. Um, we grew up, especially in I mainly talk about the Caribbean because I grew up in the Caribbean, and so especially in the Caribbean, we grew up where some of our parents, something is done. And the first thing is a licks, or what we call beating or something, or I could not ask my mother or father why. So that communication, that open communication wasn't there, right? um Now I have my children asking me why, and I would say to them from time to time, you in my days I could not have asked my parents why. You tell your children something and they ask you why. We couldn't do that. But it is so true. Those our parents, our foreparents, didn't really know anything about healthy communication. And they did, I believe personally, they did their best. Most of them. We do have those who have abused us as children and such like that, but they did their best, most of them. So let me just pause and say hi to Pastor Karen Haney. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Anne Marie John, great having you locked on. All right. You see, the I am the parent, you are the child statement. Yeah. So you ask why and say, well, I am the parent. You don't question me. I'm telling you, I must confess that in with my first child, you new to parenting and such like that. I've said a lot of that, honestly. And if I really would have gone back, some of that I would take back. But I said, well, do it. Why? Well, I am the parent. You're the child, so just you don't question me as a parent. And we've done that, and therefore we see that people grow up and they're not able to communicate properly in their relationship. Anthony Wilson, great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. So again, guys, just to recap, we started talking about how we know our relationship is healthy, and we're based it mainly on our male female relationship, whether you're married, your spouse, your significant other, you're engaged. But we are also dealing with this from a relationship on a whole, because it can go across the board. All right. And we said that two things thus far, and I'm going to bring a couple more things to you, and I'm sure you have things that you can share. We said one way we can know our relationship is healthy is with if we have open communication, and two, mutual respect. All right, I'm going to share some other thoughts with you, and we'll take it up from here next week, God's willing. But it was great having you guys locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els, and I'm looking forward to see you next week, God's willing. Remember, as I always say, whatever you do this week, add value to somebody's life. All right? Whatever you do, add value to somebody's life. God bless you, and see you next week in the will of God for another Conversations with Dr. Els. All right? Blessings.